Well, the bulls are on the run today. A triple-digit blue-chip rally underway. Walmart leading the charge as the final and most important hour of the trading day begins right now. Welcome to the closing bell. I am Dylan Radigan. My partner, Maria Bartiromo, at the White House as we speak. Speaking with President Bush. She'll join us in just a few minutes with that one-on-one. The president telling her that he is, quote, astounded and floored by some executive pay packages. More from Maria's sit down with Mr. Bush in just a few minutes' time. First off, the markets look like this. Another day for the record books. Blue chips on a roll. Weak energy prices and huge performance out of Walmart lead the Dow to an intraday high of 12,125.20. You're just off that number right now. I mentioned Walmart. That stock fueling the rally. The stock getting a lift after the company said that at its analyst meeting that it plans to curb CapEx spending as it looks to get more profitability from existing stores. So they're reducing spending, boosting the stock. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Another stock on the radar today, Ford Motor Company, the automaker taking a hit, I should say, after posting its biggest loss in 14 years' time. It also says that the current quarter's operating results are shaping up to be even worse than anticipated. CNBC's Phil LeBeau will have the latest from Dearborn, Michigan on that. Also in the final hour today, Jeffrey Skilling, facing the music. Enron's former CEO will learn his fate later today. A judge slated to hand down a sentence that could send him behind bars for the rest of his life. We will get you the details on that as they come down. Plus, price wars in the online brokerage business. Are the fears of that overblown? Apparently, more folks on Wall Street are saying yes than no. We'll find out if it's time to put money into the beaten-up brokers. But first, a look at the indices themselves. Here's your Dow Jones Industrial Average on a Monday afternoon. 108.54 the advance, 12,110. Again, Walmart leads the charge in excess of a 3% advance there. The Nasdaq continues to pick up steam in its own right. A strong open and holding on to the majority of that advance this afternoon, up 1278. The S&P 500 again. Weakness in energy stocks boosting a wide variety of names this afternoon, 0.5% the advance in the S&P. Our team covering the markets at the New York Stock Exchange, in the oil pits at the NYMEX, up at the Nasdaq, in Chicago, along with our special guests. Well, Mary Thompson starts us off. She is the eye on the floor. Mary.
Well, Dylan, as you mentioned, we are close, of course, to the all-time high for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. We've come off those levels a little bit as the day has worn on. Nevertheless, as you mentioned earlier, the weaker oil prices certainly contributing to today's rally for the Dow. Dow slightly off its highs. We continue to see weakness in the transports. They started to turn about midday, and they have remained lower right now, off 35 points, despite those low oil prices. Also, the Russell 2000 is participating in this rally as well, down for the second day in a row. One of the leading groups, surprisingly enough, despite that big loss reported by Ford, is the auto manufacturing groups. And take a look at GM. Its stock very close to a year high ahead of its earnings report on Wednesday. It is expected to post earnings of 49 cents a share. Ahead of that, it is moving higher, and the contributing factor to the gains we are seeing in the auto sector. Again, Phil LeBeau is going to have more on Ford's losses coming up in just in about a half an hour or so. American Express, another down mover in the news today. The company's earnings beat expectations, but it had a revenue miss, and American Express trades right over there. Its stock turned around midday. It was trading higher. Once the earnings hit the wire, it moved lower again. The revenues missed. Earnings were better than expected at 78 cents a share, 2 cents ahead of estimates. And also, I want to mention Walmart. You know, Dylan was telling us earlier in the company's analyst meeting, the firm was said that it would not be expanding as quickly. Investors like that news. It also said it should benefit from these lower gasoline prices that we are seeing. This has helped to push the stock to the highest levels in just about a year and a half. Now let's head to the NYMEX and Sharon Everson. Sharon?
Well, Mary, crude prices stayed below $59 a barrel all session highs. Now over to Rick in Chicago. Now over to Scott Wapner at the NASDAQ.
Yeah, I'll take it, Sharon. Thanks so much. Well, good for about 12.5 points, 0.5% here at the NASDAQ. How about Google? Up another 5% today, or $24, an all-time high for the stock. Investors still giddy about those earnings, the YouTube deal, et cetera. And suddenly, folks, at $483, that $600 price target we've heard about doesn't seem so unreachable. Well, let's go to Cisco Systems, down about 0.5%. Says it's getting into the telepresence market, really a fancy way of saying they're getting into the video conferencing market, except they're doing it at the very high end. It's a new way of video conferencing, makes it more realistic. They're using high-definition monitors, some very high-end audio equipment as well. People talk about this market as being a $300 million market by 2008, so that's the upside that Cisco sees. Oracle hitting a new high today, up 0.5% right now, buying Metasolv software for $219 million in cash. That company provides service, fulfillment, operations, support systems, solutions. That's right. That's exactly what he said. All right. Pacific Sun up 6%. Bank of America raising to a buy from neutral. $21 the target there. Sees significant upside. Says the problems facing the company are fixable. Replodyne down here. I've talked about it earlier today. This stock's down just about 50% right now. The FDA saying it will not approve this company's drug that it's developing with Forest Labs. It is for acute sinusitis. After this happened, the stock cut to a neutral from a buy over at Pacific Growth. And finally, as we end here, Amazon up about 0.5%. We've talked about the story of being sued by IBM for patent infringement. Of course, Jim Goldman coming up in the next segment with a full report on that. Dylan?
All right, Scott, thank you very much. Interest rates once again in the spotlight this week, too. And with that in mind, it's time for the bond report. First one of the week this afternoon. Rick Santelli is live at the Chicago Merc in the belly of the beast. What can you tell us, Rick?
Well, Dylan, I can tell you something. That how many naysayers out there said you couldn't see stronger equity prices in the face of higher rates? Nay, nay, we say. There's 113 Dow points disputing that, as we're at 10-week high should we close here on most maturities. Look at a 3-month, 2-year.